Hello and welcome to this new episode of Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers podcast. Thank you again for being here with me, for sharing this time with me, for listening to this podcast, and for all the lovely reviews and comments and emails I get. That's always heartwarming and super helpful for me. So thank you for being here. Now let's get straight to it. Title of this podcast is Don't You Have Enough of Proving Your Narcissistic Mother Right? And this episode was born of every low moment I've experienced, every tear, every pain in my body which carried so many suppressed emotions, every endless painful conversation, every moment spent doubting myself, every second wasted with guilt, and more. Until I got really tired of proving my mother right. You've heard me. How do we prove our mothers right? Each time you believe all her put-downs, each time you doubt your inherent perfection, each time you deny your capacity to achieve what you want, each time you give up on your dreams, each time all patterns take over, each time you dampen your light, you're proving your mother right. And I know this is provocative and this is horrible to hear. When I came to this realization that every time I was putting myself down, doubting myself, I was feeling the pain inside, and I kept carrying that pain. Every time that I saw an opportunity for healing or growth, and I was too scared to take it, that every time I was going with that, I was proving my mother right. That was like a punch to the stomach. It was like, whoa. But it is, because that's what she has always been telling me. You're not good enough. You can't do that. You're not going to be able to achieve that. Why would you even bother trying? You're too sensitive, blah, 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 blah. And so each time I believed that, I actually unwittingly proved my mother right. How many times has she told you that you couldn't do what you dreamt of doing? How many times has she laughed at you, ridiculed you, made fun of you, maybe in front of people, or maybe used you to boost her confidence? How many times has she used you as a scapegoat? How many times has she told you that you were a bad child, a failure? I lost count. I'm actually so done with counting. What about you? When is it time to say enough? And I don't mean literally saying it to her, to go to your mother and saying enough. Now, in some cases, that might be what you need to do. That is very personal, and again, I don't want to go into very specifics, because I don't know you in particular. I don't know your particular story and your particular relationship with your mother. We're all different, and although we go by general aspects that are similar, but like this personal experience is very specific. So in some cases you might have to set like a really clear boundary that is like spoken and very obvious. In some cases you might need to do that, but in general, to go on the attack wouldn't really serve any purpose other than to create more pain. But this, what I'm talking about when I say when is it time to say enough, it's an internal journey. It's an internal choice for you to make. You can choose to say enough to the voice in you that sounds like your mother. The voice of doubt, the voice that tells you that you're not good enough, that voice, that's the one you want to say enough to. And you can choose to stop that right now. I mean, it is within your power to do that. Does that mean that when you do that, all will be miraculously cured, like with a magic wand? No, of course not. It doesn't work like that. I'd love to tell you otherwise, but there are no shortcuts to this work, not that I have found. And when I do, I promise you'll be the first to know. And I'm not making fun of you here. Like, I'm constantly working on this. I'm constantly researching, looking for more helpful ways to go about this. And if I find ways that are quicker, I'm gonna share them on this podcast. But so far, I haven't found any shortcuts. So the hard work will still need done. But until you make that decision within you, enough is enough, any real step will always seem too scary and too much. You're gonna be doing the things that are not challenging, like a little bit of talking therapy, which it's really helpful, of course, but it is like it can become a comfort zone that you like. I know I was like that. I could talk for ages about what my mother did or did not do, and like, to the risk of sounding like repetitive, to whatever therapist I was going to, or whatever friends I had around, or whatever my partner and stuff. But um, you can talk and talk and talk and talk and become super comfortable at doing that, but you're not actually shifting. If you notice, when you get in that loop and it remains a comfortable thing, the key is always that when you're doing something on your healing journey, on your self-discovery, on your self-exploration journey, on this journey into finding the real self-love within you, and blah blah blah, and that is extremely comfortable to do, then it's not really making you step forward at all. There is a level of challenge within it, which does not mean that we're forcing. It does not mean that we're being violent with ourselves. There are ways that are promoted that are toxic, violent, and forceful, and that is not what I'm talking about. But there is a sweet spot between super comfortable, where you really don't have to put yourself into any challenging spaces at all, and the forceful, and it's like a little bit of challenge that is needed. A healing journey, any journey of self-discovery, gets uncomfortable because we're gonna go to places that we've tried to protect, emotions that we tried not to feel because it was too painful to feel, and that, when you don't have very clear in your mind that you've made that decision, in your heart, in your bones, in your body, you've went, yeah, enough, I'm actually going for this now because I've had enough of proving my mother right. Those challenging steps are gonna seem too much, and they're gonna seem too scary. And ultimately, that little voice of your mother on your shoulder that keeps saying that you're not good enough to do that is gonna win. Deciding literally means cutting away. So when you decide, you cut away the other option. You decide A, B is not an option anymore. Okay? So when you decide you've had enough of this unending cycle of pain that you've been living with, you are choosing you over that pain. You are choosing love over hopelessness. I know it sounds cheesy, but that's true. And you're choosing thriving over surviving. You're quite literally cutting away the cycle of pain from your life. And does that mean that it is a pain-free journey? And no, again, I would be so dishonest if I told you that it is a pain-free journey. We've just said that challenging part is going to be there. But the pain on the healing journey, on the path of self-discovery and self-transformation, is a pain that brings you rewards. There is no way of feeling fully happy and thriving without moving through waves of anger and grief, for example. There's no way of unleashing the fierce warrior in you without facing your fears. So that pain gives you something. There's something at the end. The other one, it's an unending cycle of pain that only brings more pain. there's a quote I love from Anna Nin, a writer, and I read it years ago, and it changed a lot for me. I had it actually written in my room for years because it's just so powerful. And that's the quote. I'm going to read it for you. And the day came when the risk to remain in a tight bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. See, the pain that you're experiencing every day, that keeps you in that tight bud. You might feel comfortable even in there. There's this weird comfort zone within the pain, but it is so bloody painful all the time to live with all that anxiety and not knowing what to do with it, to live with the fear of whatever fears you have. I've lived with the fear of my mother barging into the room and yelling at me, or giving out to me, or telling me how bad I was and how bad my decisions were, and how bad everything I did was. I've and that translated in fear of the world. I was afraid of other people, afraid of judgment, afraid, like that constant fear. That's a lot to carry all the time. And that pain is actually more, it gets to a point where that pain is more than the risk it takes to take the next step on your journey and actually face the fears, face the challenging bits, face the darkness that might be there, that is there, because we all are made of light and darkness. Face the emotions that we are trying to suppress, face the fears of the inner child, face all of that, and then blossom. I understand your fears because I've been there and still feel them in me. I mean, they're not gone. You just, you it's not that you learn to live with them, because that sounds like resignation. That's not actually the thing. But they're there, but they're not driving anymore. They're not in the driving seat. Your decisions and choices are not made based on those fears anymore. And I understand your doubts because I have them too. Again, the same doubts come up when I want to put myself out there. When I do receive beautiful messages and emails and stuff from you guys, and it's amazing. But I do receive the odd one that says this is not for me, and 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 that brings doubts. Every single time. It's funny. Like out of 10, 20 good messages, you get one that is like not so good. And that still brings on so much doubt. But yet, when you learn to recognize really what that is about, that is like hearing my mom barging into the room yet again, say, what you're doing is so wrong. And the body reaction is that. The body reacts to that memory of what you were used to receive as a child rather than to what is actually happening. Someone that is saying that what you're talking about is not really for them. That's okay. That's allowed. But the body still gets the whack as if your mother is back there judging you. So I really do understand your doubts. I understand your pain because she walks with me too. It's a pain I've experienced, I've been through, and it's there. It's like it becomes like a companion that is always there. You can never undo the pain you've lived through and you've experienced, but you can harness the gifts from it, and you can really shine brighter because of it. So I understand all of that. But you really don't have to keep living like this, frozen in an unending cycle of pain. Remember that you do not owe anything to your mother. Sometimes, and this is it could be a whole episode really on this topic alone, but we can be unconsciously loyal to our parents. It's one of the ways we get all meshed up with them. And with a narcissistic mother, that can happen too. So you can have an unconscious loyalty to her, as if you owe her something. You owe her to be in this pain, because that's some kind of connection with her. Remember that attachment, we're always seeking connection with our mothers, where no matter what, no matter how much pain they've caused, no matter how much suffering, there's still a part of ourselves inside that is looking for that bit of connection, and is completely unconscious. Like, we're not rationally, you could answer me with that's not true. I'm even being no contact, and yeah, but even even in the no contact, if you're still notice the patterns. I give you an example, like really silly and practical, but I was at a market the other day, and there was a beautiful stand of a woman that had lots of beautiful jewelry on it, and I was looking at the different things. My daughters were buying bits and pieces for themselves, and I realized that I was drawn. I had to stop, because I was looking at the things and I was pointing at the ones that I knew my mother would have liked, but it was like I was drawn to them as if I would like them. And there was a moment of pause and going like, do I really like them? Question mark. It's like I'm still trying to, because I knew, if in the past, if I was in a similar situation and my mother was there, if I pointed at the one that she would have liked, that would have been like that little spark of connection. Although sometimes she would have put me down anyway, saying that of course not, that's not what she liked. But the vast majority could work. And also, if I came home after buying something like that and showed it to her, there was more of a chance that I would get some kind of an approval in her own way. So that remains within the body. And I am standing there in front of this stand looking at jewelry and going, do I really like those? Me, like myself, do I actually really like them? And I couldn't really come up with an answer. It's not yet. Like, I would have had to stand there for a while, which was not possible at that time. But it's something I'm going to feel into, because and you notice how it just goes into everything. Now, this was a silly thing. I mean, does it make any difference to your life what jewelry you buy? But maybe it does. But it goes into everything. It can go into everything. So that unconscious loyalty, it goes even into the patterns that are very self-destructive, that are very toxic. We can keep them going to be loyal to our mothers. If our mothers have lived, for example, if our mothers is like narcissistic in the sense of being very much a victim, she's a martyr, she struggles, and she promotes her struggles, so she gets acknowledgements, that kind of dynamic. We could very easily take on that pattern, and maybe we struggle in different things, not the same as our mother. So that kind of seems like we're doing different in life, but we're still on that struggle note, we're still on that victim note, and pattern. And so that again is like being loyal to her, and is also proving her right. So just to give you like a bit of an explanation on this, like very shortly, because this is a big topic, we could talk about it forever. So you don't owe anything to your mother. All of that, to go back to this, you do not owe her anything. You're your own person, and you owe it to yourself to make this powerful decision for yourself. Enough. And you also owe it to all the generations coming after you, to break the cycle of pain that goes on generations in your family, as well as it has been in mine. I mean, I've seen in my family, it's been going on for so many generations. And we owe it to the generations afterwards to stop this cycle. We really do. Do you want your daughters or anyone coming next to be needing to listen to this podcast? I've asked myself that recently, And the answer was a firm no. I don't want my daughters. I have two daughters. I don't want them to have to go through all this. I don't want them to have to go searching, oh, daughters of narcissistic mothers, to try and understand how to cope with me. Because unwillingly I have just recreated the same patterns of my mother, or or something similar. And even if you don't have children, you are touching the life of so many, and that has a ripple effect. And how do you want that to be? But I know our daughters and the generations coming after us, because you're here listening to this, they won't, because their mothers, us, and us as women, are doing the work, and we are actually breaking the cycle of pain now. By you being here, you are, and you can take all the next potent steps to do that. And I bow to you for that. That's amazing. I thank you and love you for doing this work. And I know it didn't start with you. It didn't start with you. As we said, it didn't start for me either in my family. It goes back many generations. We've said that, both sides, from my mother's side, my father's side. Ooh, I mean, it goes on and on and on. So many branches. But how about it ends with us? I'm 100% in on this. It ends with us. How about you? Are you in? And I know you're nodding right now. You're feeling the fire in your belly. I can hear the fierce growls, and I can feel your tears as well, because this might bring tears too. And I get it. And I love that you're here doing this with me. So how do we do this? How do we go about ending this cycle? Once we feel that growl, once we make that decision enough inside, how do we go about this? I can't tell you how exactly to go about something, because I really honor you for the amazing being that you are, and you make your own decision, and you will find the best way for you. But at the same time, I will continue to unapologetically promote the Reclaim Your Fullness Women's Circle, even at the cost of sounding salesy, which is not what I'm doing. But it's because the practices that we do in this container are, so far, in my experience, the best medicine I've found. So years and years and years of exploration, of experiencing, of feeling, of researching, and I have put everything that I have learned and that has worked in this container. That's what we practice. I have discarded what didn't work, what I seen it doesn't work, and I would do you a disservice if I kept it to myself, because that's how this podcast started. Like sitting down and having a really challenging conversation with my partner and going, well, actually this is what I need to share, because this has worked and it's still working for me, and I'm deepening it. And it is actually the subject I know the most, because I've had to deal with it for the best part of my life, my entire life, actually, since I was in the womb. So I can really speak to this, and the intention behind it is to support. If I can support even just one other woman in this, wow, that's just like amazing. So I started this healing journey consciously choosing to be on this path when I was about 18. And since then, I've been sampling a lot of ways to go about it. And as I said, the women's circle is where I put it all together. And I've learned and I've seen what works and what doesn't. And when I find something that works even better, then I put that in. So it's always evolving, it's always changing because of that, because I am dedicated to this work. And that's why I want to invite you in on it. It's a potent thing. And as I said, you make your own decisions. You don't have to join this women's circle. You don't have to join this container. You do what you feel works for you, and I honor you anyways, absolutely. What I'm gonna say is, I really hope you find something that works and that you really take those potent steps. What lights my heart, what warms my heart is when I see another woman smiling after uh, shedding real tears and feeling more herself after doing some potent work and blooming into her amazingness. I don't even know if that's a word, but I love it. Yeah, I love that, and I love knowing that she will benefit all the people in her life, and the ripple effect will be devastatingly potent. That's why I'm here. That's my work. Um, and so whatever decision you make, whatever thing you decide to do, whatever is the next step for you, whether it is signing up to the women's circles, reclaim your fullness, or it is something else, but just go for it. Go for it. It's really it's for you that you're doing it. It's for all the generations after you. It's enough of suffering like that. You don't need to keep suffering every day. You don't need to go around and round in circles facing the same challenges all the time, like a broken record. You don't need to do that anymore. You can choose within yourself. You can make that decision for you and do something that is really potent for yourself. Yeah. And I forgot to say it at the beginning. I'm gonna add it quickly now. So just for this couple of months, I'm opening up some very, very, very special program. I think it's gonna be like, maybe I'm opening 3 or 4 spots at the max. 3 or 4 women will get to do this with me. It's a one-on-one 10 weeks program um, to work on healing from maternal narcissism, healing the mother wounds, a transformational program for yourself to work one-on-one with me, 10 weeks, 10 sessions. Yeah, I'm not gonna speak about it here because there's no point. But if you are interested, it's only like the signing up is only gonna be open for a few days. So I'm gonna send an email. So if you're subscribed, you're gonna get an email. Otherwise, just contact me, send me an email if you're interested in it, into knowing more about what the program entails, but do it in the next couple of days because I'm gonna take the first 3 or 4 women that sign up. That's it. Yeah, that's the latest news. And with that, I'm just gonna leave you and I wish you a wonderful week. Lots of love. Bye for now.